everybody, I'm Chef Paul from Cooking 6 Ways to Sunday, and today we're making beef stew. Ain't that right, Craig?
That's what you're telling me.
That's a plan, Stan. So look, there's a million different ways to make beef stew. Million, right? I'm gonna do it my way, but there's some core ingredients you gotta get to make beef stew. The first thing you gotta have is beef. I'm using chuck roast. Second is potatoes. I'm using baby whites. Next is some fresh herbs. Next, carrots. I'm using baby carrots. After that, red onion, celery, tomato paste. Those items you have to have. Now, my twist, a little bit of a twist, is Worcestershire, red wine, collard greens, and mushrooms.
Now, does it matter what kind of red wine you use?
No, it doesn't really matter. You use a Merlot, you can use a Cab, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're drinking, whatever's in your hand at that moment, you're swinging around as you're cooking, use that one. And then behind that, I have the ingredients for popovers, warming up. They have to be warm for popovers. So look, I'm gonna get the cast iron pot ready to go to make this kick-ass beef stew. Craig, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. All right, see you in a second. All right, guys, so look, I got the beginning of the stew. The first thing I wanna do, get some hot oil into my pans. I got about 2 ounces of olive oil in here, right? It's at a medium heat. My red onions are gonna go in first. Like, the process is really kind of what you to think about, right? You can use a white onion, you can use leeks instead. You can use little pearl onions or cioppino onions, either one, anything like that you like. And what we're gonna do is just kind of brown these up, really get some color to them, so some good flavor. So when it's cooking, that flavor, that roasted flavor, that sauteed flavor that's in here now, from the onions will impart some of the flavor into the stew, all right? So you got about a good 5-8 minutes on a pretty good medium heat, and let it make some color, all right? So it's soft and it browned up a little bit. Delicious, delicious. Let's get these out of there. So we're gonna get them out, and once they're all out, we're gonna throw in the potatoes. All right, man, so now the potatoes go in, and we're just gonna let those brown up just a little bit. There's enough oil in there, just for a couple minutes, brown the sides up and take them out. All right, Craig, these potatoes are browning nicely nice, man. So we're gonna pop them out, and then when they come out, we're gonna switch gears and get to the flesh, get to the meat, all right? And the meat that we're using today, I said, was a chuck round, and also I marinated for about 24 hours, just about there, in red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, tomato paste, and oregano, right? So here, we're just gonna, this is flour, half cornstarch. We're just gonna kind of dust these guys up a little bit. There's still plenty of oil in my pot, and I love a cast iron pot for stew, man. I think it's a traditional deal. You know, a nice hearty bottom. It's browned nicely, all right? So get down and dirty with the meat, and we're just gonna pop that in there. We're gonna let that brown. Let that kind of sizzle up in there. You know, and don't worry about those burnt onions in there, because all that's gonna do is keep adding the flavor. A little bits of onion in there. All right? Don't crowd the meat at this point. This takes a little patience, so don't crowd the meat, okay? Because it won't brown evenly. All right? So we're gonna brown this meat, and then we're gonna start building the rest of the dish. Craig, dude, that's what we're looking for, man. Look at that. That nice sear on each piece of meat. That's what you want. Don't rush this process. This makes the flavor of the whole stew. So later on, I'll show you how we impart some of that flavor later on. Hey, Craig, this meat is all seared, looks great. We're gonna start to build on our stew right now. So the pot is still warm. It has all this good stuff on the bottom. You kind of see that, right? We want all that. That's the bits and pieces from the browning of the meat and the onion and everything like that. So right now, we're gonna throw some paste in there right now. Some tomato paste. And we're gonna brown that. And then the celery, garlic, and the greens. I like the collard greens because it's a tough green, and it will be able to match the cook time of the meat. So kind of get that all in there, mix it all up, and now in a second, you can see how just the moisture from the greens kind of picked up all the bits and bobs off the bottom of the pot. That's why this cast iron is so good, because it keeps a nice even heat, nice and long, and then you can just keep it nice and hot the way you need it without burning it or abusing it. Or I do abuse it a little bit. I smack it around. But it's a workhorse of a pot. So the greens starting to color up a little bit. So now I'm going to add the red wine. The red wine we're going to drop in there, finish the deglaze of the bottom of the pan, and then we'll let it reduce a little bit. So we're going to pop this guy in here. And I got about like a cup of red wine. That's a Cabernet that I'm using. And you use any red wine you want, or use a white wine. Do what you want. It's your stew. So we're just gonna let this really finish that off. We'll let all these meld together for about 2 or 3 minutes, all right? And then we're gonna add the meat, the broth, and finish cooking it up, all right?
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
I noticed one thing you might have not added in. You added in garlic, but I think you didn't mention that up front.
Ah, the garlic. So I also added garlic that wasn't part of the original setup that I started. And, you know, salt, pepper, garlic is kind of standard to everything, okay? Then also I'm going to have a beef broth that's going to be added also, all right? So let's just reduce a little bit, burn the alcohol off, and then we'll come back and finish this bad boy up. All right, Craig, man, I think it's reduced nicely in there, really nice. So what we're gonna add in, see how it's kind of made a nice little paste of stuff in there? So you got all the, you got the greens in there, you got the tomato paste. So what we're gonna add right now, is the beef stock. And we're just gonna pop that guy in there, right? Boom. All right. We'll give that a stir. We're gonna bring this to a boil. All right. Then we're gonna put the meat back in. All that goodness is going right back in there again. All right. Now I really like to sear, because you get that braising flavor. You know, if you just dump the meat in there raw, the onions in raw, I think you're missing a big part of the flavor of the dish. So that's why I brown them and then cook them all together. And all that goodness goes in there, all right? Onions go in. There they are, nice and browned. My bouquet garni. So in here I have thyme, sage, basil, and rosemary, right? Pretty standard. Some people will do a throw bay leaf in there. You can do that too, if you like. You know, whatever floats your boat. So all that goes in there. Now the carrots and the potatoes, we're not gonna put those in yet. We're gonna hold off on those, and we're gonna put those in a little bit later, okay? A couple of splashes of Worcestershire. Couple splashes, right? Now at this point, people do so many different variations. They'll add a mustard, they'll add horseradish, they'll do different things. But this is where I go with it. Pop the lid on it, bring it to a boil, then bring it to a simmer for about 45 minutes. Pop in the potatoes and the carrots for another 20 so minutes. And then the last minute, drop in the mushrooms for that quick stir, and that's it. So, but in the meantime, we got some popovers to make. So let's work on that. See you guys in a sec. Hey everybody, it's Chef Paul from Cooking Six Ways to Sunday. Craig, what's happening, man? Today we're doing popovers. Popover is kind of a traditional chop house biscuit, bread, muffin. Very simple. Some key ingredients and procedures to make it work. So first thing we're gonna do is butter these little Pyrex dishes. And you wanna butter them good. You want to butter them good. Don't be afraid to butter them. Get them all buttered up. All right? It's like you're at the beach and you're laying out and you're lathering yourself up. And these are going to be delicious with the the stew we're making today. Right? It's going to be amazing. So they're light, they're airy, popovers, just really flavorful. So they're a great compliment, especially if you want to have bread, but you don't want a big old loaf of bread. These are perfect. So there we go. Get these guys buttered up good. Butter, slather that on. Don't be afraid. All right? The key to this whole thing with popovers is everything is warm. So we're going to put this in the oven for a couple minutes. And now we're going to make the mix. So look, the eggs been at room temperature all afternoon. So we're gonna beat those guys up, give them a little mix up, right? The flour, be at room temperature, just regular old flour, right? Salt, just regular old salt, kosher salt. 3/4 teaspoon, 1.5 cups of flour. 3 eggs, and 1.5 cups of milk, warm milk, room temperature milk, okay? Now, I usually use a lot of recipes, and I'm not very precise when I cook, but this one here, this recipe, it needs a little precision to it, right? So I got the warm milk going in there now, right? All right, and then 1.5 teaspoons of butter. 1.5 of melted butter. All right? So now we get this guy in here. And look, it's gonna be a loose batter too. It won't be a thick batter. Okay? The key to this is to get the lumps going. Get going lumps. We don't want none of them in here. All right? Some people will add cheddar cheese to it. Some people will add some other herbs to it if you want, right? But it's kind of what you want. See that nice smooth batter? Get all the mojo off the side. You don't want that crap on there. You want that in your muffin, right? Look at that. All right, so now that is ready to go. So go back into the oven here. Pull out the warm Pyrex. Now, everything's warm. Remember that. Nothing's chilled. Nothing. All right? And now we're just going ahead and we're going to fill this like just under halfway. The best you can. All right? Just under halfway. Now, if you ever enjoyed a good popover, you'll be very, very satisfied with yourself when you actually make a great popover. Okay? And yeah, that looks good. So a little bit more. All right. So very simple, Mr. Craig. These are going to go into the oven for about 30, 40 minutes or so. And then we'll come back, check them out. The key is, this is the key. right? Do not touch the oven when you put them in. Don't open it, don't kick it, don't do anything. You gotta let it be. You have a light in the oven, turn it on and look at it, okay? But do not open the oven. They'll fall. All right. So these guys are going in. And Craig, my man, we'll catch you guys in about 30, 40 minutes. See you in a second. Well, Craig, the stew has been stewing for about 30, 40 minutes now. And the meat is starting to get onto the tender side. So now we're going to add the carrots and the papas, potatoes. And all those guys are going to go in there. All right? And we'll just kind of give it a little stir so everything again gets mixed up. We'll take the tree out of there for a second. And get it all in there. Looks good. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Potatoes go in, should thicken up a little bit. If not, we'll finish that at the end, the consistency. A little cracked pepper, some kosher salt, right? And throw the tree back in again. We'll finish it off. And that's it, brother. We're gonna let that finish up. And by the time this is done, then the popover should be done and we're eating. All right? See you guys in a second. Craig, the popovers are good to go. So we're gonna pull them out right now and check them out. See if I did righteous by the popover. Holy smokes. Look at those bad boys. They popped over. Some popped over more than others popped. But there they go. Very simple process, man. Egg, butter, flour, a little salt, milk, boom. So it's the steam inside that makes them rise. So they're amazing, man. You're going to love them. Now, the coup de grace. So let's check out the stew. See what we do with the stew. So while you guys weren't looking, I removed the herbs, fresh herbs, and I put the mushrooms in just to finish it up. You know, I hate to overcook my mushrooms, so this looks terrific. What we're going to do right now is get it to a fast boil, right? And we're going to thicken it up a little bit. And this is kind of a cook's cheat. I use it because it allows me to really determine the viscosity of the broth. So this is nothing but cornstarch and cold water. And when you're thickening, you want to go from cold to hot. And all this is going to do is thicken up that broth thing. See? It's nice. Gives it more body. Get those guys out of there. All right? That's it. That's it. We're at stew mode right now. Get out of there. All right. So, that's it, man. We got stew and we got popover. Got mushrooms. There you go. Got some potatoes. You got carrots. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this stew whatsoever. All right? So, and you eat that with a delicious, unbreakable,
Let's throw that in.
it's there, right? Unbreakable popover. All right, guys. Popover and beef stew. Nothing but to love it. Okay, that's my twist. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time, okay? Take care.
We're not done though. So now,
Yeah?
Paul's gonna take the camera, hold the
You
camera,
want some of this?
and I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna tell you if this is actually good.
There you
If
go.
it's
Hold
not,
on.
I need a fork.
You need a fork. Look at a fork, man.
Hold on, we're gonna This is impromptu.
Yep. See if it's any good.
All right.
So
So,
Craig is
I'm
always.
gonna tell you if this is good. Now I don't like collard greens, so I hope I like this.
Let's
We'll
see what happens.
See if it's too hot for me to eat though. The dogs are ready for
There
it.
they are.
Oh my god.
It's hot, huh? Right? That do it right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, man. I love it. I love it. All right. So Craig's my brother-in-law.
I say, make it at home.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. For real.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
See you.
Out.